A garage floor is stacked ceiling high with chocolate pudding cups. A man and his family sit cross-legged, peeling tiny barcodes off each one with blistered fingers. This isn't a bulk grocery order gone wrong. It's a calculated, race-against-the-clock plan involving over 12,000 cups of pudding. The total cost of all that pudding was just over $3,000. What it earned him was worth almost unimaginably more. By the end of the month, this man will hold 1.25 million frequent flyer miles, enough for 50 round trips across America. This is the true story of how a civil engineer legally outmathed an entire airline promotion, one 25-cent pudding cup at a time. How does buying $3,000 of dessert turn into one of the most legendary frequent flyer stories in American history? To understand it, you have to go back to an ordinary shopping trip and a man who couldn't help but read the fine print. His name is David Phillips, a civil engineer at the University of California, Davis, married to a school teacher named Cindy. Phillips had a lifelong habit of hunting for unusual value, once even studying blackjack card counting techniques purely as a mathematical exercise. In May of 1999, while shopping in the frozen food aisle, he noticed a small promotional sign from Healthy Choice Foods. The deal offered 500 frequent flyer miles for every 10 Healthy Choice products purchased, with proof of barcode required by mail. There was also an early bird bonus. Purchases made before June 1st would earn double, 1,000 miles for every 10 barcodes. Most shoppers would glance at a deal like this and move on. Phillips, instead, pulled out a pen and started doing quiet math. He needed to find the cheapest possible Healthy Choice product that still qualified for the promotion under its exact terms. At his local store, individual Healthy Choice pudding cups were selling for just 25 cents each, and each one had its own barcode. The math was almost too good to believe. 10 pudding cups cost $2.50 and earned 1,000 air miles. Each mile, by that calculation, was costing him a fraction of a cent, dramatically less than what airlines themselves typically charge to sell them. Phillips rushed home and told his wife something that must have sounded completely absurd in the moment. He said he needed to go to the bank immediately, and that they had to buy as much pudding as humanly possible. There was a catch. The early bird deadline was May 31st. Phillips had only weeks to find, buy, and mail thousands of barcodes. He scoured grocery stores across his town, hunting specifically for the cheapest Healthy Choice pudding he could possibly find in bulk. At a discount grocery outlet, he found exactly what he needed: cases of Healthy Choice pudding cups at rock-bottom clearance prices. He bought over 12,000 individual cups of pudding, spending just over $3,000 on the entire purchase. A store clerk, watching this unfold, could only ask the obvious question: what on earth was one man planning to do with all of that pudding? Phillips later joked that he was simply stocking up early for the coming Y2K computer crisis everyone was worried about that year. The real challenge, though, was only just beginning. Every single cup needed its individual barcode carefully peeled off and mailed in. 12,000 cups meant well over 100,000 tiny barcode stickers, each one requiring careful, painstaking removal by hand. Phillips enlisted his wife, his children, co-workers, and friends, turning his garage into a makeshift barcode peeling assembly line. He also struck a clever deal with the Salvation Army and local food banks. They would help peel labels in exchange for keeping the pudding. It was, for everyone involved, an oddly exhausting task. Fingers blistered. Chocolate pudding smell filled every room of the house for weeks. Phillips later admitted he developed a genuine, lasting aversion to chocolate pudding after those exhausting weeks of non-stop peeling. As May 31st crept closer, the family raced to finish peeling and sorting labels before the early bird bonus deadline passed them by. They organized barcodes into neat stacks of 10, exactly as the promotion required, preparing each submission with careful precision. Just before the deadline, Phillips mailed off his submissions, stacks upon stacks of proof of purchase envelopes bound for Healthy Choice. Then came the hardest part of the entire plan, waiting to see whether a major food company would actually honor its own promotion. Weeks passed with no word. Phillips began to wonder whether Healthy Choice would find some technicality to deny his enormous submission. Then, in May of 1999, an official letter finally arrived from Healthy Choice, confirming something almost too good to believe. Healthy Choice had honored every single submission in full, awarding David Phillips 1,253,000 frequent flyer miles. It remains, to this day, one of the largest single frequent flyer mile awards ever given to any individual consumer in history. Phillips split the miles across several airline accounts, but placed the vast majority, over 1 million miles, into American Airlines program. That balance alone earned him lifetime gold status, complete with priority boarding, upgrades, and a dedicated reservations line for life. According to his own calculations, Those miles were worth enough for 50 round trips anywhere within the United States alone. Or, alternatively, 31 round trips to Europe, 42 trips to Hawaii, or 21 full round trips to Australia and back. Phillips kept roughly 100 servings of pudding for himself and his family, insisting years later that he genuinely liked the taste. The rest, well over 12,000 servings, was donated entirely to the Salvation Army and 2 local food banks, exactly as promised. That charitable donation gave Phillips one final, unexpected bonus, an $815 tax write-off for the donated food. Between the deduction and the pudding's original cost, Phillips later calculated his effective price per trip to Europe at roughly $75. Word of the story spread quickly, first through frequent flyer forums, then through national newspapers eager for an unusual feel-good tale. By early 2000, David Phillips had earned a permanent nickname within the airline industry and beyond. Everyone simply called him the Pudding Guy. His story became so well known that it inspired a subplot in the 2002 film Punch Drunk Love, starring Adam Sandler. Healthy Choice, for its part, quietly withdrew the promotion shortly afterward, having clearly underestimated how far one determined shopper would take it. Industry analysts later noted that neither Healthy Choice nor the airlines were seriously harmed, since bulk mile purchases cost partners only pennies each. If anything, the enormous publicity Phillips generated was worth far more to Healthy Choice than the miles it technically gave away. Rather than retire from deal hunting after his biggest win, Phillips simply kept going, chasing new promotions with the same careful precision. A year later, he spotted another unusual opportunity, a promotion offering 1 million miles for flying 10 different Latin American airlines within months. He visited 6 countries in just 3 days, chasing that new deal with the same relentless mathematical determination as before. His wife Cindy, a school teacher, later joked that keeping up with her husband's deal hunting had become nearly a full-time job of its own. By his own count, Phillips burned through his original pudding miles within about 5 years, using them for family trips around the world. But the miles were never really the point. The real prize was proving that careful reading of the fine print could genuinely change a life. Over the following 2 decades, Phillips continued hunting for unusual promotions, helping friends and strangers alike become mileage millionaires of their own. He has since traveled to more than 40 different countries, funded almost entirely through decades of carefully exploited promotional loopholes. David Phillips still works in sustainability and energy management at the University of California, quietly balancing engineering with his unusual hobby. He's since become something of a legend in frequent flyer communities, regularly consulted by others hoping to spot their own hidden loophole. He has said companies still make pricing mistakes like this all the time, if you're simply patient enough to actually look for them. Chocolate pudding, meanwhile, remains something he can barely stand to look at, even decades after that exhausting spring of non-stop peeling. The Salvation Army chapter that once helped peel those barcodes still tells the story to new volunteers, decades later, as an office legend. In the end, it wasn't luck, deception, or insider knowledge that earned David Phillips over 1 million air miles from a grocery store aisle. It was simple arithmetic, careful reading, and the willingness to spend $3,000 on dessert nobody expected him to actually finish. This is the true story of a man who read the fine print closely enough to turn pudding cups into a lifetime of travel. Subscribe for more true stories like this one, where an ordinary shopping trip quietly became one of the greatest deals ever recorded.